Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, like, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucimus Prime here, so it's time for the next episode of my series of Old is Better Than New. And in today's video, I thought I'd this time cover a video game franchise where I'd say that in my opinion it's had really great video games until probably its most recent two video games on console, that is, in my opinion. And this is one of my favourite video game franchises of all time, and it's also as well a fighting video game franchise as well. And this franchise, what I'd personally say, in my opinion, but Old is Better Than New for its games, is none other than Mortal Kombat! So, when it comes, of course, to what Mortal Kombat means to me then, so I've played lots of the games, and I'm definitely, shall we say, a fan of the franchise. So, in terms of what I've played then, so I have quite a lot of the games on various consoles, so because I can play PS1 games backwards compatible on PS3, I was able to get, of course, some Mortal Kombat games on it, such as, for example, the Mortal Kombat trilogy. So this is one of them I got as well. And also Mortal Kombat 4 as well. And also as well on PS2, I also have a couple of other games too, such as, for example, Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. And also as well, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance as well. So I got these for it. And on PS3 as well, I also have Mortal Kombat vs DC Universe, which is definitely, in my opinion, a really cool crossover between DC, which I thought was definitely brilliant. And then also as well, my second favourite in the franchise, I also on PS3, which is the complete edition of Mortal Kombat. Or also known as Mortal Kombat 9, whatever you want to call it, but I call it Mortal Kombat because that's what it says on there anyway, but it is also known as MK9 as well. And if you guys would ask me what my personal favourite game is in my franchise, it is most definitely, of course, 2015's Mortal Kombat XL. I absolutely love this game. It's my favourite video game made by NetherRealm of all time. I absolutely love this game. In my opinion, this is Mortal Kombat at its peak, as far as I'm concerned. Just an absolute masterpiece of a video game. I love everything about this video game. Just absolutely awesome in every way. So, when it comes to these games then, the reason why I'd say they're definitely really amazing is because they have really great characters who are so much fun to play as. Because my personal favourite character in my franchise is Scorpion, and I absolutely love Scorpion. And I love his story, such as his rivalry with Sub-Zero, who's my second favourite character. And also, as well, his revenge against Quan Chi, who's my favourite Mortal Kombat villain of all time as well. I love Quan Chi. Yeah, the game is definitely, in my opinion, really amazing because of that story with the characters. And also, as well, the gameplay has also definitely improved in these old games too as well. Because the old games definitely, of course, started really strong. And even though I do like MK vs DC, an issue I do have with it is I do feel that unfortunately its fatalities were torn down compared to the older games. And especially as well when it comes to the game's heroic brutalities, as they're called for the DC characters. Which in my opinion didn't really work very well, to be completely honest, for this game. Not to mention, I also wasn't really a fan of how some of these games, this game included, had 3D stage arenas instead of 2D ones. In my opinion, that didn't really work well for Mortal Kombat, but it was still okay though, nonetheless, because as a matter of fact as well, this week of recording this video, I actually revisited this game on PS3, and despite, of course, the struggling to adapt, of course, for 3D arenas again, because I first played the game on Xbox 360 when I was really young, it was still, in my opinion, fun, because like I said, I think it's a really good crossover with DC, and I really enjoy the story behind that, and I thought it was really good. And of course, by having DC characters in this game, this of course helps pave the way for another NetherRealm franchise being Injustice. Those two games, which I definitely also really love as well. And however, well, thankfully, after that, though, when it comes to, of course, MK9, though, they thankfully brought back all the brutal fatalities we all know and love as Mortal Kombat fans, thankfully, so I appreciate how, in these old games, they always strive to improve. I definitely really love that. And it definitely shows in this game. And I think it's brilliant. And then, like I also said as well, as far as I'm concerned, Mortal Kombat was most definitely at its peak with MKX. And personally, guys, I prefer the completed editions of MK9 and XL version of Mortal Kombat X because it includes all the downloadable content and the other features too, you know, like exclusive skins and stuff like that. So I prefer these versions. And it's also the same as well for MK9's PS Vita version, because that's also the complete edition too, all the content on it. And speaking of that as well, I also as well think MK9 was also, in my opinion, a really great port on portable consoles because it was, of course, released on PS Vita as well as, of course, PS3 and Xbox 360. And in my opinion, for a PS Vita port, it was actually really good. I mean, obviously, of course, you can tell there's graphical downgrades, of course, and there's some features missing, but it was still, in my opinion, a really good port because I think they did a really good job transferring, of course, the console version to a portable console. I think they did a really good job at it, really, in my opinion. Really good job. And it wouldn't be the first time that they've done it on portable consoles because there was, of course, the game called MK Advance, which was released on the Game Boy Advance. So that's an example of one too as well. So that was, of course, released onto that too in 2001. However, I would argue that, in my opinion, MKXL is the last great game in the franchise, as far as I'm concerned. If you guys are going to ask me, do I think it's the last great game on NetherRealm? Well, in my opinion, the last great game on NetherRealm is Injustice 2. That, in my opinion, is their last great game. Because, unfortunately, 2 years after Injustice 2, we got the next Mortal Kombat game, which, of course, is Mortal Kombat 11. And as you guys can see here, I have the ultimate version of that game because it has all the downloadable content and the skins all there for you, all there. And one benefit of this version of the game is it also has faster loading too, which is also brilliant because it's on PS5, so of course it's going to be faster. Now, personally, when it comes to this game, I'd say when you compare it to MKX, it's a massive downgrade, which is very disappointing in my opinion because of how much I love Mortal Kombat as a franchise. And sadly, all these improvements I've seen in these games, all these improvements, they're gone, unfortunately. So, for example, I'd say that one thing that really strikes me about this game is that for some reason the gameplay is much slower because in MKX, the gameplay is much faster and more fluid and it feels more realistic in my opinion. Whereas in this game, it's really slow for some reason. I don't get that at all. It doesn't make any sense how you downgrade it from fast to slow. Like, you'd think because, you know, it's the next game in the franchise, they'd have improved, but sadly they didn't. Also as well, when it comes to story as well, I'd also say that in my opinion, MK11's story is probably the worst out of the franchise that I've played, unfortunately, because, in my opinion, it mistreats several characters, especially my favourite character, Scorpion. I'm not going to spoil why, but I will say what happens to Scorpion, it made me hate the character of Devourer. I liked an MKX, but I hate him in this game, unfortunately. And he wasn't the only character that they ruined because they ruined others too. For example, I feel they also ruined Aaron Black because compared to MKX, where he was a badass character, they made him into a generic, dull cowboy character. And, like, that's not who Aaron Black is supposed to be at all. No. They also, in my opinion, also ruined the whole story behind Dark Raiden because the ending, of course, of MKX was hinting at Raiden being the next villain, you know, like a Dark Raiden. And we do see him at the start of the game, of course, torturing and beheading Shinnok, the game's main villain of MKX. But, unfortunately, this game, of course, features timeline disruptions due to the game's new villain being Kronika. And as a result of this, it causes past versions of characters to appear and Dark Raiden erased from existence. So, there goes that story right there. Like, I personally think this game's story would be much better if Dark Raiden stayed as the game's main villain. That would have been, in my opinion, much better than what we got, to be completely honest. Because personally, guys, I'm also not a fan of Kronika either. She was, in my opinion, a generic, dull villain when you compare her to Shinnok and Shao Kahn and Quan Chi and the other villains we've met before in the franchise. Just so dull, in my opinion, and boring. And not to mention a really hard boss as well when it comes to a final fight in the arcade and story mode. Definitely, in my opinion, a pain to fight. In my opinion, MK11 is only worth playing for the downloadable content characters, which are included in the game. In my opinion, they're the best part of the game. Especially when you got people like the Terminator, Robocop and John Rambo, Spawn, and many other familiar faces to like the Joker as well. And other characters from the franchise who appear as guests like, for example, Rain and also Melina, who in my opinion should have been in the story mode, not as a DLC character. So, but yeah, in my opinion, it's only worth playing for a DLC. That's what I'll say really about it. And I guess the actors who come back to reprise their roles vocally, of course, like, for example, of course, Steve Bloom, Richard Epker, just to name a few, really, who come back to reprise their roles. And also Andrew Bowen as Johnny Cage, who in my opinion, is the best part of these games after MKX. Now, when it comes, of course, to the next Mortal Kombat game released on consoles, that, of course, is Mortal Kombat 1. Now, I was hoping it'd be better than MK11, but sadly, when I see gameplay clips of it and clips of a story, I was really appalled by what I saw, because they had not improved from the gameplay of MK11 at all, and I just couldn't believe it. Like, they had this chance to improve, and they didn't, so that really annoyed me a lot. So, that was just a pain. And not to mention, one thing I think so done with MK1 is also a lack of characters, because for some reason, several fan favourite characters, for example, Sonya Blade, Jax Briggs, Cyrax and Sector, they're no longer playable characters. Instead, they're called cameo fighters, where basically they only work as assists in matches. So basically, they've taken away the tower option to assist, where you get a character to assist you, and made it as like full-on characters in the roster you can't play as. So that was, in my opinion, a really dumb move. Not to mention, the story is even messed up, in my opinion. For example, I cannot get behind the idea of Scorpion now being Sub-Zero. Like, it doesn't make any sense how Kuai Liang is now a Scorpion. That's just so ridiculous, in my opinion. Like, come on. Not to mention, the DLC, in my opinion, is also not very good either, because while I love the addition of course, Omni-Man from Invincible and Peacemaker from DC, and I guess also, as well, familiar faces like Takedo and Ermac, for example, I hated the addition of Homelander from The Boys, because personally, guys, I'm one of those people who actually hates The Boys. It's short I hate people like, and adding Homelander to a game was, in my opinion, a bad move. They could have added Superman. But, like, Homelander, nobody asked for Homelander. Just ridiculous if you ask me. Which is why all the clips I've seen from that game is clips of people doing fatalities on Homelander, because it's actually pretty satisfying, but hanging the game was a bad idea, in my opinion. And also, guys, you know how I also said earlier that MK9 had a great PS Vita port? Well, if you guys were to ask me what is the worst port of MK11 and MK1, to me, it's easily their Nintendo Switch versions. Because I've seen clips of their Switch gameplay, and in my opinion, it's really bad. Because the downgrading is unreal, and there's lots of glitches in the game as well. And especially in MK1, I'd argue that MK1's port is much worse, because the visual glitch is absolutely terrible. In my opinion, it should not have been released on a Switch, because the game was released on 9th generation consoles, and the Switch was released around the time of 8th generation consoles. So, in my opinion, they should have waited till, of course, releasing the Switch 2 instead. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And as a result, the port was absolute trash, in my opinion. So, like, it's just really sad how a PS Vita port of the game is better than a Switch port. That's just really sad, in my opinion. So, that being said, guys, in my opinion, Mortal Kombat games were at their peak with MKX, and in my opinion, they were great all the way from the first game to MKX. MK11, in my opinion, was a big downgrade, as far as I'm concerned, and MK1 is proved they're not going to improve, which really sucks. So now what I'm going to do is I'll keep playing my old games, absolutely, because I love playing my old games. They have a huge place in my heart, especially X and 9, as far as I'm concerned. But I am not going to be playing MK1 on no chance. Instead, I'll move on to other fighting franchises that I have yet to play, which I've heard good things about. For example, things like Tekken, Soul Calibur, and Street Fighter, just to name a few. I'm definitely in to play those, absolutely. But, as far as I'm concerned, Mortal Kombat was great from its first game to MKX. That's my opinion. So, you know the drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to tell in the comments what you guys think of Mortal Kombat. If you play the games, what do you think of them? Have it better than old and vanilla? In the comments below. Also, be sure to join Team Private by pressing subscribe if it's coming in the future, and I'll see you all later.